Hello and welcome everyone. This is the Collegiate Chess League Division 11 match between Macedonia B and Michigan B. My name's Joe and we've got round one underway, so let's take a dive in and check that out. Here we go. We've got top board from Macedonia versus the bottom board from Michigan's B team. Bala Srvatsev, this is the captain actually, who I've had the pleasure of working with for quite some time now, pretty familiar, and looks like we've got some pressure on the E file. We've got a potential discovery against a exposed knight, a hanging knight, although the knight could hop in at some point, but we could see the bishop take, so rook also defending here. Oh my goodness, it's Matt, house line, soon to be 2K. Any moment now he could hit it, so be sure you're followed, notifications on. You don't want to miss it when he hits it. All right, the bishop steps back, revealing a queen defense. Hi, Jenny. Thank you. Good to see you again. All right. Rook takes back, controlling the E file. We have some pressure maybe on D5. It's only defended by the knight, which is only defended by the queen. Here, the knight may be looking to come in here. Queen opposite the king. That's a potential attack. This is defended. What's up, awesome? How's it going? So maybe bishop d3 hitting the queen. Queen's got to stay tied to this knight. I do see all four games going, which is pretty good. Knight to h4 hitting the queen instead. Queen steps up, and now that could be a free knight. If you take my knight, then I can take this pawn, hitting the bishop. So looks like white's doing that. Now maybe you don't take this pawn, but maybe you take this pawn instead, hitting the bishop, the pawn, and the other pawn. So this pawn's probably more important to take. Let's see what Bala does here. This is a good position now for white. The queen should have protected that knight, because now that that knight falls, it looks like everything is falling. So you have to defend the bishop, probably moving it, defending this pawn, but you will be dropping this pawn as well. That's going to be some really valuable connected pass pawns on the outside. So I'm expecting queen takes a6 as a very solid move, maybe even queen to c6 looks just as good, but grabbing the pawn. And now again, black's threatening this, but the queen can come back, and you could even try to go for a queen trade if you want. Maybe even a rook lift to come over. So all in all, just a very solid position for white. Let's take a look at some of the other games. We actually have a time scramble here. 3 seconds for WWR. That is Werui Wan. I'm noticing we've got some very long names. So we're gonna I'm gonna take away maybe some middle names here just to make sure that the names are fitting on the scoreboard. Yeah, 5 seconds to 15. There is 2-second increment. King steps up. White is looking like they're crashing through. Yeah, that's going to be mate next. So a point for Jelly Das. That is, should I pronounce these are some Greek names. I don't know if I am going to do them justice. Zelos Demetrios Agelos. Looks like they get their first point of the match. Let's take a look at another game. Here we have a game. There was also another result. Grosh beat Lazaros. So where's Grosh? This is board 3 from Michigan. So both teams, board 3s coming in clutch, taking down the board 2s. You think so? Awesome. That's good. That's good to know. Okay, white is up a rook here, so that looks pretty good. This is Nick Pass. This is the board 4, actually, against the board 1 from Michigan. So that should be a big upset. Yeah, bishop coming back. No need to give up these pawns unnecessarily. Here, king here. Okay, attacking the bishop. We get the D pawn now. Attacking the bishop again. We can push this pawn. We can keep pushing the pawn. We can attack the bishop again and then push the pawn again. And the bishop will give itself up. And black's main hope really is for a stalemate, which could happen. Not even taking this last pawn. That's a check? No. That would also be a check. That pawn was maybe free. Watch out for stalemate. King has one move there. Okay, and the second pawn's coming in. Yeah, bishop here would be stalemate. Well, now it's a check. Don't play bishop here. Yeah, okay, so now the king... Yeah, you can queen now. Rook here and mate. Nicely done. Nick Pass, an upset. Board 4, taking down a board 1. So, Macedonia, the Greek team. I gotta... Do you think the text would be smaller if it was lowercase? Sometimes these players like to just put their usernames in all caps. Where can you report the teams? You mean for fair play? There's a fair play report form in the Discord server. If you join the Discord server, you should be able to find it under the season info channel. So looks like this is an equal position. Although this pawn is isolated, I think white should trade the bishop. Yeah, here now white has a problem. This king is very active. This pawn is passed. Check. Yeah, rook takes now, and black's winning this. So I think white had an opportunity to trade, but didn't. King here, maybe? Push takes. So the king cannot leave this pawn, otherwise we'll take this. Okay, now that this pawn is hanging, computer really liked d3. Okay, this is sneaky because there's rook checks now, so we can't actually take. Here and now, this king maybe wants to walk up. Okay, we're going to go after this now. Rook here, maybe? But now... Yeah, computer likes bringing this rook over. Rook c2, only move. Rook down? No, cutting the king off. Yeah, rook has to come back. Maybe rook here. No, just repeating is pretty safe, honestly. Black was definitely better. Here, it's tough. The only move was rook a7 to go after this pawn. Now it's winning for black. Oh, not anymore. Rook and pawn endgames are tough, dude. Yeah, king here. If rook here, then we take. And then probably we can both sides can sack their rooks for the pawn. Ball is down to 20 seconds. Black's gonna maybe try to get the rook behind now. Pawn push, king to the side. There's a check. King can go either square, I'm sure. Yeah, you could queen if you want, but white's gonna queen their pawn. So check. King here. You can try to get your king in, but this pawn is too far. So pawn push, 1 square away from promoting. King here. Now I would go where you can't get checked anymore. Rook has to come back. Here. King comes back, and you check again. And then you just repeat that until you draw. There it is. All right, and that's a good result for Michigan because that is their board 4, their team captain, getting half a point against Macedonia's top board. So first round, we have 2.5 to 1.5. I'm gonna try my best to spell these players lowercase. Yeah, we got Jobot. Okay, we're off to round 2 now. Both sides castle kingside, both sides fianchettoed. Kingside. You have a good feeling about the Greeks? Yeah, we had a really strong Greek team from Athens, National Technical University of Athens, I believe. They were in Division 1. They had like 3 or 4 really strong teams, and they did not register this year, unfortunately. But they have some new Greek teams joining the league, so maybe they've influenced them. This team is in Division 11. Both teams are B teams. They both have A teams. We watched Michigan's A team actually yesterday taking down Yale, and we interviewed their top board, Derek Claspy. So Michigan A getting a win here. This match, Michigan B is looking to do the same, although they are down 1 point because their top board wasn't able to get any points against Macedonia's board 4. But the team captain from Michigan getting a draw, keeping it close within 1 point. So let's check in and see how Bala is doing. Bala's a board 4 is 1740, which seems to be pretty good considering they're up against a board 2 right now, and Bala is actually the higher rated player. Let's check in with Georgios. This is the top board from Greece. Macedonia. That's a check. White wants to keep the pressure on the knight and ruin this pawn structure. So black should do something about this. Black, Grosh, this is Justin Wiebesik, if I'm saying that right. This looks like a free pawn. White's going to waste no time in snagging that. Knight comes back. Bishop opposite of the king. There's no time to play knight here, trying to hit this bishop because this bishop's pinning this pawn. So this is not a protected square. Now we see the punch thrown at the knight. Knight hops in here, trying to disrupt the bishop. Also hitting the queen. So now we need a queen move. Queen comes here, boxing out the knight. This is a decent spot. If the knight takes, it opens up the bishop, but this is defended. We could see bishop here hitting the queen, but the queen can just go somewhere protected. Yep. Queen's got to stay in the 7th. Does exactly just that. Bishop might swing around here, actually. And this could be quite annoying. Another thing to worry about is potential back rank issues. So queen steps up here. Not entirely sure what the idea is here. So the knight should just come back. Black just snagged a pawn, and they were already up a pawn. So that's a 2-pawn advantage. Yeah, Macedonia, they're up a point in this match, but it looks like Michigan is the higher rated team. Yeah, the bishop just coming back around. So I think black should be able to win this. I think Michigan might make a comeback here. Let's check in on some of the other matches that we haven't seen. Honestly, all these boards are fairly close. Yeah, this king is in no man's land. So this was an opening gone wrong. Knight takes, queen check, castles. So why not take here? You know? But okay, castles takes here anyways. King over. Now bishop c4 check. This will be absolutely devastating. Bishop c4. If king to g6, what else would you do, truly? You have queen g3 check. And if you don't block with one of these pieces, then the king has to move. We probably push the d pawn at some point. Or if you do block with a piece, we're just going to win that piece. So this was definitely an opening gone wrong for Nicoletta Pasoglo. Anyways, yeah, nice knight sacrifice from WWR, where Rui won. And yeah, here just trying to figure out how to finish this one off. So maybe pushing the d pawn is smart to start. You've got a mate threat in 1 with that bishop. And that's exactly what white's doing. So h6, expected result. And we could still go queen g3 check, but after that h-pawn push, the king has some extra space to go to. It's probably why you want to start with the queen g3 check in this position. But okay. Yeah. h6, defending against the mate in 1 threat, creating some space for that king. And now we can still go queen g3 check. King runs away to h7. Yeah, we see the check. King has to go. And now this is a very devastating move. That's a brutal move if you find that. e5 also looks really strong. Yeah, just attacking the knight and opening up this diagonal. Now this bishop would have been better placed here because it's controlling both of these squares. But let's see where this knight goes, if it goes anywhere, to be frankly honest. The computer's saying that you should not move that knight. But yeah, WWR. It's honestly pretty rare, I think, to have a 3-letter username. This guy is probably just an OG. Yeah, joined August 8th, 2010. That's before me. Holy smokes. That is an old account. Okay, so the knight goes to g4. And now we could see a check. We could also just, also, yeah, e6. Looks like it's winning a piece as well. So white has many ways to win. They are burdened with the luxury of choice. Sometimes that's a strategy to flag someone, but they have increments. So anyways, we actually have a result. Grasshopper wins by checkmate against Jellydas. So let's see. Look at that fork. Trade here. Rook in. Wins the queen. Bishop. Check. Takes and mates. So Grasshopper gets a quick knockout there. And that's going to tie things up for Michigan. So top board getting a point on the board and making things even. Of course, flagging is one of the ways to win. This game is looking pretty good for white. So Bala had a decent first round, a draw against the top board from Macedonia, but not doing too hot in this position. Yeah, here is the knight just trapped. You don't want to drop this. So yeah, giving up the knight there. And yeah, just down a piece for a pawn. So not looking good for the Michigan captain, board 4. All right, let's check back in with WWR against Nicoletta. Nicoletta is the board 4 for Macedonia. We saw many ways that could have been winning for white. We see a couple checks, another check, bishop develop, pawn push. But now there's bishop to e8, actually. And white's white could have started with e6 much earlier. And ooh, here going for some attack. This is covered. That we can block. Queen e1. Whenever this rook moves, there's bishop takes with check, which is kind of annoying. And if the king moves, we're getting forked. Here, I mean, and then there's another check. Whoa, takes with the pawn there. Takes here. Takes, and now, oh my god, queen takes g2 was mate in 2 with the bishop. That's filthy. Rook takes, queen takes with check. I mean, the players are throwing their pieces left and right. No regard for their piece safety. Bishop out to f4 makes a lot of sense. g3, queen takes g4. Watch out for your pawn. Rook can't go here. Pawn push, honestly, might be strong, but there's also just queen takes on d7. Rook comes here. Queen comes in to defend. Does the queen know it can take? Does the rook know it can take? The answer is no. Ah, check here. Coming back, king back. They're offering a repetition. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, and they draw. That's crazy. But this position's good for black. I think black missed that this pawn was just hanging. So here the best move is queen to e3, apparently, threatening the skewer. Maybe even a check, but okay. A peaceful result. And we have 1 game left in this round. So we gave Grasshopper his point. Looks like Georgios lost to Justin. Honestly, his username is Grosh. What's up with that username, you know? Okay, and then a half point for WWR and Nick Paz. So Wairui getting on the board with a half point. Nick Paz improving to 1.5 out of 2, which is really impressive for a board 4 up against the board 1 and 2 from Michigan B, respectively. So now Michigan is actually up 1 point. This is a huge match for the Greek team. Only 3 seconds for Lazaros, but completely winning up a bishop. Black has this outside pass pawn. They're going to leave it on a dark square so that this bishop doesn't help pick it up. I don't know what bishop d5 is. You're just giving black a tempo. What is the pawn push? What is this pin? What? Yeah, no, I mean, putting the bishop here, this king should have stepped up twice, but instead we see the king here. These pawn pushes were completely unnecessary. This king is going to swing around, pick up this last pawn. Black, meanwhile, is trying their best. King here. One check. King back. King's going to come in this way now, actually. King h3. Now you can't take this, but you could give a check, but no. Bishop goes here instead. A little bit of a zugzwang. Maybe we push a pawn. Ball is fighting. Pawn push and we go down. We chase it. Takes. Oh no. Takes. And now this pawn's going to promote. Push. Holy smokes. And if you go here, you take this. Oh. He's pushing anyways. You have to go here. Don't go here. Don't go to g3. Okay, yes. Now you go to g3. Brilliant. Brilliant by Bala. And holy smokes. White threw this game. King to g2. And the red carpet is laid out for that black pawn. Wow, Lazaros could have tied it for Macedonia, but loses to the captain of Michigan. The board 4, Bala Srivatsev, getting a massive full point there against the board 2. Rhymes with Grug. I don't know if that's how that actually works. But yeah, how to win when you have an extra bishop. So first off, I guess he didn't want to bring the king over and get pinned. But like king here, sure, you get pinned for a move, but you go here next and you're fine. So just, you know, keep on keeping on with the king, right? A lot of inefficient moves there in that endgame. Yeah, it was very important to not trade that pawn because you recognize that you're losing your pawn. So that bishop should have come back to check the king away, and then you can take that pawn. Right? Don't give your pawns away if you can hold on to them. If you don't need to, because that pass pawn black had was going nowhere fast. That you could pick up on your time, at your leisure, right? He rushed it, took immediately, and then it cost him his own pawns. When he could have saved his pawns and then taken the pass pawn, you don't have to rush. You could take your time and then bring the king back over, and life is good. You're going to be up that bishop, and your opponent's not going to have any pass pawns that you're going to have to deal with. But of course, it's tough when you're in a time scramble and time pressure. It's easy to make mistakes. And here it looks like white's picking up a pawn. So we have this trade opening up the queen. And maybe black could have pushed first, but this fianchetto bishop, the knight, and the queen all working together to win that center pawn. So here we can see just the trade. The computer did not like that trade at all. It liked the move c4 instead, or going to f4, attacking that bishop. This trade, queen takes, this black king has luxury of castling, king side only, because queen side, this queen was guarding. So we see rook hitting the d file, queen now on the e file, now black castles, queen offering a trade, but also hitting the bishop. So we could see this trade that's going to help the knight recapture. Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Glad to hear you're having a good time. Okay, this pawn is hanging. That was not defended. I guess you're giving up 2 pieces for the rook. So black should not take. They should resist. So nice play here. I was going to consider like bishop here protecting the pawn this way. And yeah, you can take on d4. Rook takes. You cannot take the knight because the bishop takes back, or the pawn takes. Either way, you get 2 pieces for the price of 1. So bishop takes is a good move. You're forcing the rook to take back. And then the computer's actually saying you could take this b pawn, which is kind of funny. Yeah, now that the bishop isn't there, and the knight's not pinned, the knight is threatening to take on c2 there. So that's why we take the knight. That's one reason. Let's see if white will take this pawn. They do. So now black's going to take the knight, damage the pawn structure. You got to save the rook, and you're going to get this pawn back. So now, question is, can white convert? Bishop's going to come back here, anchoring with the pawn. This is the advantage right now, is that c pawn. So now the rook should develop. Rook's coming over here, maybe going to try to get to this 7th rank. I think bishop here makes a lot of sense. This also makes sense, trying to trade off. Maybe rook d1. I would try. Hello, Will Gaskin, how's it going? I would try rook d1. Computer also likes just moving the bishop. Yeah, bishop f5 hits the rook. Yeah, bishop e4 makes sense. Taking the long diagonal. Rook here, we're threatening a discovery, so watch out. Rook avoids that. Rook offering a trade. This might drop a pawn, but it doesn't because this bishop is guarding the flight square. Takes pawn push. Uh-oh, we have rook to d8 and pinning the bishop, you guys. Check, king left, and now rook c8. That's winning on the spot. Ouch. That's not easy to get out of. You can go here, but the bishop's going to step back or forward, and you're going to be getting something good. So rough stuff for the Greek board 1. Georgios having a rough match against these Michigan players. Only a half point against the bottom 2 boards, and now against board 3, looking like they're going to lose. This is round 3, a 2-point lead for Michigan. You can take and take. You'll give up the rook for 2 pawns, or here you can give up the rook for the bishop. Yeah, that's probably your best bet, but it's rough. It's rough out there for the black pieces. Let's take a look at the Michigan top board. We got Grasshopper versus Lazarus. Lazarus was completely winning against Bala, up a bishop in the endgame, and then allowed Bala to queen, so losing that game. Otherwise, it would have been tied 4-4 at halftime. Instead, we've got Michigan with a 2-point lead, and this blunders a fork. Grasshopper finds it very quickly, very nicely. Nicely done. Yeah, that knight was an important defender. So the Greek team is falling apart before our very own eyes. We've got some tactics being played here from the Michigan team, firing on all cylinders, it seems. Well, let's check in with Bala, team captain, and he's doing great here against Jelidas. So, what's going on? This king is out. These pawns are doubled and isolated. It's a 2-pawn advantage for Bala. So the only thing, though, is that white has this open H file. They've launched the H pawn. They're taking on G6. So now black takes with the F pawn, opening up the rook. This queen can't so easily just try to get in there. The knight also is covered by the queen. This knight might get pushed at some point, but that pawn will block the queen as well. Only 15 seconds for Jellydas. Queen steps up, clear intentions. Also guarding this square for the knight to invite. So the problem is we've got at least this defensive move. The knight here is also a nice defensive move. Yeah. And Bala's got a ton of time, over 2.5 minutes to figure all this out. Where Rui won, getting their first point of the match, taking down Georgios. So they finally won that game with a nice checkmate, a 2-queen mate. Yeah, last we looked at this. Yeah, he just gives up the exchange back and wins the pawn in game. Up that one pawn. So very nice. Let's check in back with we haven't looked at Nicoletta. Okay, this king is getting mated. Queen takes. Looks tremendous. There was a queen block, but no. What else do we have here? Just taking the rook, okay. That's probably good. Probably a rook lift also is just incredibly good. So Nick Pas getting a point for the Greek team. Yo, huge raid, Asmoata. Welcome in. I'm late. You're right on time. Shout out to Asmoata. We're watching a Greek team take on the University of Michigan. And there we have Resignation. So the Greek player, their board 4, improves to 2.5 out of 3. They haven't lost yet. They gained 70 elo from that. So that's a lot of points for them. Let's check in on, this is the last game of the round, Grasshopper and Lazarus. So last we looked, what was going on? I don't know. Queen diving in, bishop coming in. This pawn is hanging, so we take it. Queen takes, bishop takes. We hang that pawn. So all in all, it's pretty even. But Lazarus only has 10 seconds. Would you take that pawn and give your opponent a pass pawn? I guess they would. So you clearly have to take. And I mean, I like this bishop a lot, but the king's going to come around. Pawn push, looking to go here. Oh, the computer hates that. Bishop g4. And I guess you're going for this. Or no, you're definitely going here. So that's going to be a problem. Yeah, say goodbye. It seems. What's up, Oscar Chess? How is it going? Yeah, this is a 2-on-1 here. Bishop comes back. It likes bishop f3. This is pretty passive. Going here. You're not going to trade, are you? No, you shouldn't. They're worried about this, I think. Ooh, here. You're trading off that weakness. You could have targeted that pawn. But easier said than done. King is entering now. The king wants to hunt these pawns down. This pawn should be running. Defending that. This is hit now. You can go bishop here. Oops. Okay. This pawn is running, but this pawn falls. So 2 connected pass pawns versus 2 isolated pass pawns. There was a point that I forgot to award. Let's see. Oh, they flagged. Huh. Or did I click on... Well, there was 2-second increment, so... Grasshopper gets their 2nd point out of 3 games. And there was a game that I missed. Who got the point in round 3 there? Was it Bala? I don't think so. Oh, it was Bala. So Bala is at 2.5. So that is 4-8. That's pretty good. Michigan won that 3-1. What's up, Speed Chess? Hello, Alan. Hello, Jenny. This is round 4. Are these players rematching? Didn't they already play? Ball is playing neg. These are the board 4s. Nicoletta. Oh, thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that. I try. I try my best. All right. Yeah, we have f3. This kind of boxes the knight out. Usually people advise against f3 because it's pretty weakening against the king. But I wouldn't be surprised if white tries to castle queenside, or maybe they put the bishop here on e3. And the dark square should be pretty safe for the time being. The computer likes bishop to b4, and this is an annoying pin because you're attacking the knight twice. But black decides to do something a little bit more passive, bring the bishop to e7. What's funny is Nicoletta started as the board 4 by lowest rating, but after they've won 2.5 out of 3, they're now the highest rated player in the entire match because they were presumably provisional. So their matches are giving them more points. Yeah, and I have a feeling that this, yeah, they drew their game by agreement, but I think it's because they just didn't mean to play each other again. I think they might have sent a rematch, but that's the wrong pairing. So here we go. We've got the right pairing now. They realized their mistake, and now we have the proper pairings here. These are the board 2s, Lazarus and Wairi Wan. And we have the board 1s now going at it. Grasshopper versus Georgios. And yeah, white's made their first move. Oh, they're playing the wrong time control. What is this? They're playing a 3-minute. Yeah, they're gonna abort that. What's going on, guys? They say the third time's the charm. So they've got 2 extra games drawn by agreement there. Or I guess this was aborted, so that's better. Not impacting their results, but all right, we'll give them a moment to figure that out. Let's take a look at We'll keep an eye on the Michigan captain. Actually, both of these players, it seems, have not lost yet. They're both 2.5 out of 3, and they're also both the board 4s. So they're both having a great day at the office. Someone's looking to remain undefeated, and the other is looking to snap that streak. Who's it going to be? Nicoletta seems to be underrated if they're provisional, and they've gained like 200 elo in 3 games. That's not bad. All right, so Queen E1 from Bala, and we have D5 striking in the center, but potentially isolating a pawn. It looks like there's enough pieces Black has that they could just take back with the pieces, which is probably the best. Probably you take with the knight. And now if knight takes, you take with the bishop. You don't want to take with the pawn because you'll isolate your pawn. You're exposing your bishop. Interestingly, the computer preferred bishop taking first. I couldn't tell you why. But I guess it just liked the knight being there. It doesn't like this bishop so much, but I think knight takes is better. I'm going to just immediately contradict Stockfish and say that Stockfish is wrong. Anyways, bishop here, that's a threat. Watch out for your h-pawn. You don't want to drop it with check. Pawn push is interesting, but you're making this bishop even stronger on the long diagonal. Maybe even inviting a potential sacrifice, but I don't think it would be good for Black to do that. So this queen can come over and protect the king. Yeah, both sides have the bishop pair just pointing directly at each other's kings. This is an aggressive position. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen. The king has vacated the premise, giving up h2, which, by the way, is a fantastic move. Threatening to just bring in everything, right? Probably what white wants is rook h1. But I have the feeling that it's not going to be that good. So we'll see how this plan pans out. Is he trolling? King f2 is wild. Okay, the king e1 follow-up is probably not good either, but yeah, why not just rook h1? Why else would you run the king? I don't know. Check, king here now. I mean, the h-file is open. This game is far from over. Listen, who am I to judge Bala's creativity? You have to see the vision. You have to respect the hustle, the play here. Okay, knight here is a beautiful move. This bishop is a very important part of the attack that white could have had on the h-file. But no. Yeah, rook h1 now I feel like is a little late because knight should take, in my humble opinion. The computer disagrees. The computer says keep the knight here, keep the bishop here, because when you take the bishop, you're just inviting the queen. So a lot of times people forget that they open the h-file. Luckily, though, for Black, it's kind of hard to forget when the rook just went to the h-file. So now we see f5, making sure not to get mated in one move. That's always important. But that's not the end of it. So we could see perhaps the rooks double on the h-file. Under a minute now for Bala. Macedonia, they have to sweep the Michigan team in this last round 4-zip just to force an overtime, a tiebreak. It's 8 points to 4. Michigan only needs a draw to win the match. They have draw odds. That's pretty good. All right, this is a sneaky threat. They want to play bishop to c4, pinning the queen to the king. So we see b3, and now rook opposite the queen, threatening a discovery check, also winning the queen. So yeah, the king is not too pleased here. Just dead in the center of the board. Only 20 seconds to ball his name. The queen should probably move. Bishop here is not going to cut it, I don't think. You could just push this pawn, maybe. That being said, you do give up this bishop. So maybe there's a chance here for white. I would take the bishop. Takes, and now the queen's is sheltered a little bit. King goes here, getting off of the open e-file. I think you bring the rook here anyways, because you want to go here. And that's just what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's queen takes here at that stage. Who knows? Maybe pawn push? Probably not. Let's see. Rook lift. Rook takes the e-file now. You could still go here, but not here, because this rook lifted. Maybe the rook wants to come here, but maybe not, because of what? I don't know. It's a bishop for one pawn. So white has a one pawn advantage, but this king is very exposed, very weak. What does that do? The positive vibes, you just made the vibes more positive. Everyone is happier now because of it. Hopefully that did something for you. All right, rook here. Now you probably should trade. Okay, now you've allowed this check, which is pretty devastating, because the king cannot move because it's defending the rook. If you block, then this pawn is just promoting. 2 seconds. 4.9 seconds. Ball is going to lose this. And Nicoletta is going to be undefeated this match. 2.3 seconds. Wow. Not taking the rook. There's rook takes g2, by the way, if you want it. There it is. Wow. Not taking is definitely a choice. Only taking now. I would blunder the bishop in one. Anyways, that's a check. That's an attack. Queen's attacking this. You have this check. Oh, defending. Okay, okay. 2 seconds. 1 second. That's a check, forcing the queen trade. Very smart. Yeah, ball is hanging in to the very bitter end. Honestly, good example of what a team captain should do. Oh, so close to stalemate. Rook here would have been mate. That's mate anyways. All right. So Nicholas, 3.5 out of 4 as a board 4, bringing it closer to a tie break. But this looks like it's going to be Michigan's win. Michigan up a bishop and a pawn. Threatening this, threatening the queen trade. Queen steps back. You could just trade off, by the way. You could give the bishop back, and these pawns are going to be good enough to win. So, yeah, it's tough. This is going to be the match. This is going to be game over. King up, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, running the pawn's also pretty good. Black is just running out of moves at this point. You could take that pawn if you want. Why not? Treat yourself. Okay. Imagine Gross loses on time. Justin, the board 3. He's 2 out of 3. 1 second for Jelly Das. Pawns pushing home when one queen isn't enough. All right, so that is the match. Justin gets to 3 out of 4, winning it from Michigan's B team. We do have 2 games remaining, though. These aren't going to matter for the match, but they will matter for tie breaks at the end. Okay, Wow. So what? Black had a tactic here. What was that tactic? The move is queen to a1, threatening maybe the, I don't know. Anyways, that was missed. Knight hits the queen. They trade knights. 12 seconds for Lazarus. You had a brilliancy in game 3. Cooked that last round. Yeah, your opponent I think is underrated. They're like provisional basically. Okay, black's going after the e-pawn. That's one check. King can step up. This pawn might be weak, so keep an eye out. Oh, you can take here. Computer likes that. 40 seconds. Finds it. Rook can no longer pressure f7. I would go back and pressure this pawn. Maybe you go here. Maybe you just go here. Yeah, here you get tempoed. You'd probably want to return. Here now takes with check. This is looking pretty bad, if I had to say. So, yeah, likes this a lot. Well, yeah, here to here to, oh my god. It's so good. 18 seconds, 3 seconds. Okay, just trading. That's also doable. No one will blame you for that. You can move the king, you can block, which is very safe. I'd step the queen up. Pushing is fine as well. Oh my god, Botez Gambit! He forked the king and queen, but forgot that the queen could just take. Holy smokes, and its mate. Oh my goodness. Lazarus. Talk about a Greek gift. And that's good for their first point of the match. Okay, well, that ends the match. There was one other point that I forgot to put on. And it was Georgios. Georgios gets their first win of the match against the top board from Michigan. So overall, match score is 7-9. Michigan B wins. So yeah, imagine that was the last game. That would have been crazy. Well, if it tied the match, but no, there was probably some game. I'm trying to think back to like, was it round 1 or round 2? There was some game. Anyways, it doesn't matter. What happened happened, and the match is done. So, congrats to Michigan, the Wolverines, getting the job done, following suit from their A team, who took down Yale. Now B team taking down Macedonia's B team. So, it seems like Michigan likes to play on broadcast because they've won both times now. Thank you for playing and for asking me, telling me about it, Bala. Let me see. I don't think there's going to be any more matches today. I mean, I don't think so. I think I'm probably going to end it here and send you guys off on a raid. So let's see. There was a match very early this morning that I was not up in time for. Shoot. Lviv lost to SRM in India in D1. D2 and D3, I don't think they have anything. There's one later tonight. I don't know if I'll do that though. In D2, Rice plays against Dallas. There's a match tomorrow in D3. Tonight at 6:15. It's kind of late. What else am I doing today, you guys? It's a good question. I could also just stream normally. Oh, there's a match in progress right now. But it's like 30 minutes off. Wake Forest is playing Rochester Institute of Technology. Yeah, why'd you guys start at half an hour? It's awkward. No, it's okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. Oh, there's a match that starts in 1 hour from now. No. It's Oklahoma versus Texas. That's a rivalry match. Oh, there's another match in progress. What? Oh no, that match ended. I'm looking at the play versus site. It's a bunch of forfeits. That's not good. $25 divisions. That's a lot. But that's fun. Hunter Blaze Blue, thanks for the follow. Okay. I think we're gonna call it. We're gonna find somebody to raid. It's going well. How are you? Ooh, let's raid Phoebe and let's raid Rachel. Looks like they're doing a collab together, so that's fun. Let's raid Phoebe. And then on the Collegiate Chess League channel, I'll raid Rachel. Should be a fair compromise. Let's go check them out. All right, thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate you all. And we'll be back for week 3 next week, Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye. Have a good one.